I have short time to tell you, because I know everybody is longing for the lunch break, right? But it will be an easy presentation, and it is a kind of a surprise, because what is announced was like it was about traveling from revolution to the space. That was based on a mosaic by Geertz Wilks, which was once there on the other side from across the street from the State Art Museum. It has disappeared, and I didn't get the image, and I knew that Helena would talk about the bridge of Oyars, so I changed the whole project. So, and as everybody is interested in geniuses and idiots, I thought maybe this is an issue that you like. And it is really connected to an initiator of public art who is not an art administrator. It was an artist actually who started, and an artist, as you read here from Sverre Büller's sentences that were printed in a catalogue of a Cologne art exhibition. The artists in Norway, they are somehow in a remote place and would love to be, of course, present in Berlin, New York, everywhere. And on Lofoten Islands, there is an artist living, Anne-Katrine Dolben. Now she is based in London, I think, but at that time she was living in Berlin. And she realized when she came home to Lofoten Islands, there was no art museum, nothing in the whole district of Nordland. I'll show you where are we. We are here somehow. So when you see, this is the European continent, and Nordland is a district, second most northern district of Norway. These districts are large areas, and the one which is Nordland is this one. It is you see here the distance from the very south, Brønnøysund, up to Andenes on the Vesterålen Islands. That is 800 kilometers. And from the sea, from the islands to the Swedish border, something like 200-300, and not an easy way. Norway means the way to the north, and the Norway from the south has to get along with difficulties like the fjords that reach deep into the country. So there are two possibilities to move in the district of Nordland from the south to the north. The one is hopping across islands and fjords on this way here. That is called Kustenriksveien. And the other one is the E6, that is going to Troms and to the North Cape, which is more in the interior, like here. That is the more easy way. Anyway, to make the distance of 800 kilometers, that is something like, traveling long time. And particularly if you want to see the works of art which have been placed there on the proposal of Anne-Katrine Dolben. I'm so grateful for this artist, because she went to Oslo, actually, to the government and said, we must have art museum or something like this in the district, in the whole district of Nordland. And Norway is not a poor country, so they finally made a decision to provide 5 million euros to start with a kind of a planning. And the planning, we have already heard the name of Marita Jokori. She was in the team, and Per Hovdemark from the Henny Onstad Center, and a curator from the Balkans. So they were sitting together, and they met the administration in Oslo, and there was one compromise, and the compromise was, even it was an international exhibition, there should be at least like 25% of Norwegian artists. So that was accepted, and half of the artists to be in the project was supposed to be Scandinavian, and the other half was supposed to be international. Now I invite you to a road trip from the south to the north, and at the beginning I put something like a sentence of one of the most important Portuguese thinkers. The sentence, John, the sentence is, the travel is the travelers. What you see is not what you see, but who you are. So that you have that in your mind. So I have traveled Artscape Nordland project 5 times now, and I have not seen all the projects yet. Because for some project, like this one, it perhaps takes you 1 day to get there. So, because you have to walk across wild places to finally end up at the beach of Brønnøysund. And there is Dorothy Cross, Irish artist, who placed there. Yeah, what we see here is a shark made of copper or some metal, and this is the mummies of a cow. And there is not anymore a kind of a bathtub which was placed on this very spot. It has been taken away by the waves of the Atlantic in the meantime. It's not there anymore. And now comes another thing I must tell you. When the project was approved, it was supposed to be realized in each of the communes, of the 40 communes of the district, provided the commune will agree to take local costs, like putting up the piece, like hosting the artists. And after all, there were 36 participating. So 4 refused, and this one was also refused by the mayor of the commune. But then happened something very beautiful. There appeared a couple of people who created an association, the Association for the Installation of the Work of Dorothy Cross. So they covered all the local costs, and then Norwegians like to have an opening, a kind of celebration. It was the opening, and the mayor appeared, and he had a cow's skin with him for the people to sit down and have a kind of a party. So then it was already included in the commune, and now after all, even communes from north of Nordland, from Troms, applied to take part. So it took a time. So some people, it is a social project. I mean, it was not really directed from above. And another feature which is very important is the very place of the work of art was not chosen by the commune or anybody else. It was given to the artist to find his place for his work. So it was a guarantee that the work was not kind of displaced. I mean, on the marketplace of Brønnøysund, for example. So that is how it goes. So traveling, I go a little bit back to the map. Traveling from Brønnøysund to the next little town, to this commune. This was the first time I was in this harbor town, and Erik Dietman, Paris-based Swedish artist, he made that kind of a strange structure that looks like a fish, and the people in the town, they call it the whale, but it's and the name is Steinar Breifleb. That means the monkfish made of stone. It's a monk. Breiflab is broad mouth, and with this strange boat on the top. So the beast from the deep sea and the boat on top is a kind of a magic place in the middle of the entrance to the harbor of the town. When I was there 4 years ago, last time, then the boat had disappeared. So what does a visitor do about it? I simply wrote an email, I took phone and I pushed the people. I am a visitor from Germany. I like your sculpture so much. What is it with a boat? So only the day before yesterday there arrived this hopeful email. It is expected that a new boat will be on place in autumn 2016. I will return to the lady of the cultural office immediately next October and ask her, how is it going with the boat? So there is one thing about the Artscape Nordland project. It is no publicity, not really very much. So it is not well known. John, did you know the project? No. It's a shame, that they don't advertise. They feel a little bit like, there is something reached to our district. It's suspicious what is coming here, a monkfish with a boat on top. That is perhaps a little bit too much. So maintenance is a main idea of dealing. Helena and I, we know it about the bridge of Oyars. We are maintaining this project now for 25 years, I guess. And it has broke down a couple of times. Still, we are going strongly for it. That's the only way to really maintain a project that is interesting. I mean, to reach out to people abroad from on the other side of a sea. So we have already now a Swedish artist based in Paris and Dorothy Cross from Ireland. And now comes the first Norwegian contribution, and that is one which is a real land art piece which I like very much. You see this circle on the rock. It is really worked on the rock simply by polishing a diameter of 10 meters circle in the rock. And when you are traveling on the road to the north, on the right side you have this strange kind of an eye, and when the sun is standing in the sky, you have a mirror kind of thing. And I was there with a bus and like 25 people joining me. Some even were courageous enough to climb. There's our bus, and there we are, the courageous ones, and then it is inviting you to really sliding down on the rock. So the others stayed there because it was not so easy. Access is difficult. So once in a while, I promise Helena, I will make a trip for Latvians to join me on that kind of trip to get at least what we can make is half of the sculptures in a 2 weeks trip. So some pieces really require, as I said, 1 day. So that is the next piece. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah. Kain Tapper from Finland, he put this kind of a dialogue on an island called Vega, and there is 2 boats on 1 day to reach Vega, and the other one is to return. And in between, you have to walk like I think 10 kilometers to reach to this very place. So if you're lucky, you get the late afternoon boat. If not, you have to stay on the island. But there's nice people, They give you shelter at least. What you cannot see here on this image is that this dialogue is not a dialogue between these 3 pieces. It is also a dialogue with other things standing there in the same period. It's for example, it's the dialogue of this piece with a mountain, and the dialogue with natural things, and a dialogue also with a little road, not paved but a off-road kind of construction, where is a street sign like a triangle, and there is the sticks that help you to get on to keep on the road in the winter when the snow is there, and so on. So it's a complicated layers of dialogues in the natural and in the human-made environment. So now you see we have already reached something like 100 kilometers from 800, but in the top, when we come into this region over here, then it really becomes very complicated, because we have to do the island hopping from Lofoten This is the Lofoten Islands, and the Vesterålen on the very top. And the polar circle is actually here. So we are above the polar circle when we go further north. And one of the next pieces is, it's also Norwegian, it's Sissel to Lars. And the work is not so much about, a construction like a house or like a cylinder with a rooftop. No, it is about a work about things or a phenomenon that you cannot see. It's the wind, So the wind is taken here into this kind of ventilation system, and you can hear the art. And even there is written the Latin designations of the kind of wind from the east, from the north, etc. So a very intelligent piece of the non-visible in this area. This was one of my travelers standing on this, and then I returned to the commune and to the administration. I said, "What a nice work you have! That is Walter Siu Kaldas." And he is right at this moment at the Venice Biennale. He had a very big exhibition there, beautiful. And they were completely disappointed because they did not like this at all. They were envious about the neighboring county where there was a huge figure standing, really a monumental kind of stone figure. And they were given that kind of... Then I took a lady from the administration with me. We went there again. I said, "Look, this is a construction that invites you to have a view, to keep the balance, and the Venice Biennale is an occasion to see more." And after perhaps a persuasion of like 45 minutes, she said, "Yeah, okay, now that's good." And I said, "Don't stop here. Invite me. I come back to you and I teach the whole village what the Walter Siu Kaldas work is about. And then there is a peace in this place, and everybody will be proud." They did not invite me yet. So I will return. So what they were envious about is this work by Antony Gormley. Of course, there is a man standing in the fjord and huge. And even, people don't discuss the seagulls leftovers on the head. And Antony Gormley placed it in such a way the main street from the village down to the fjord is exactly ending at this figure. It's very, very carefully chosen. It's 10 meters high, really, a big thing. And not in danger like the bathtub, to be taken away. That is what people often ask. How is it abstract and figurative is still questioned when it comes to art in the public space. So we have reached a little part of our way, but let's go further to another artist who is now in the exhibition downstairs of the Danish Museum that is on display in the 7 League Boots series. It's Per Inge Bjørlo, and that gives an idea about the landscape. What is this landscape like? Art kind of is not disappearing, but it's kind of a small thing compared to the great nature, and that is even good because if you really want to deal with the nature as let's say like a running fence or something like this, a huge thing, that is a competition between artistic expression and natural environment. But here it is, this piece is on this little beach here, a little beach where the canoes come and where the waves from the Atlantic from here arrive. So when you come closer, you really have to climb down. It's no road, nothing. It's a trail for backpackers, more or less. Down the hill, you stand up here, and then you go all the way down. You arrive on this beach, and there is this little object. But it's not a little one. It's, enormous. Really a big thing. By Per Inge Bjørlo, who is perhaps the most important or the first installation artist who started installation making in the 80s in Per Hovdenak's place in Henny Onstad Art Center. So we make a break. We try to go to a restaurant in Norway. This is an experience of its own, Basically, you arrive at a gas station, and even the gas stations, they are the most popular and greatest architectural offers in such a landscape in Finland as well, in the north, That for me, the most important architectural achievement of the 20th century is the gas station. It's the cathedral of a belief that is the belief of the gasoline, something like this. So we make a break because the next step across a fjord is a step across the polar circle. So there is a boat from here to here, there. And in the middle of the fjord, you pass the polar circle, and the ferry boat blows the horn, and everybody is wondering what's going on. And I have been there, I think, 4 times on the boat. I know. So I ask everybody with me, come to and you see in the distance, you see a little monument showing the polar circle. And further on, we have Per Kirkebu's beacon. So, what does the beacon mean? That is a kind of a signal-giving construction, and you can see here how careful Per was placing this construction in the focus of this kind of a valley. Where is the focus? There is the beacon, and it refers a lot also to the old signal giving in the northern Norway before the smartphones arrived, even before the telegraph was there. The people in the north, they were giving signal by fire, big fire, to the next valley and so on, to announce perhaps an enemy. It was not the Germans yet, but something like this in the pre-tourist time. So this is Per Kirkebu's construction, quite modest compared to some of his work that we know, the bigger ones, and still so perfectly located in the focus of this wide valley with the snow tops, even in the summer. Now I know I will please Helena Demakova with this work, because that is a Lithuanian artist who we all know very well. It's Gediminas. He's the only Baltic participant in this Artscape Nordland, and as he is, there's always something special, reflections, in this case about a slope that comes from digging on the mountain to get gravel for the street making, I don't know, something like this. And Gediminas, he wanted this kind of place like a showcase, a showcase where he had 4 kind of displays. And it was not easy to do because, such a slope is always in danger to slide. So they had to make a construction here in the bottom of this to keep it safe and not falling down. And in the showcases, this is a nice one. It's empty, nothing in it in the small one. But here, this work on the left side, what is it? It's like a nest. It's eggs. It's like a basket. It is a typical work of Gedimina. Hey, come on, here we are. And there is an object made of made of granite, like an ore perhaps, or something like this, and a stick also made of, no, this is made of metal in the middle. So this is also in the nature somewhere, but not in the romantic nature. It is really in a man-made kind of already worked on a place of a mountain, that he gives a new meaning and a new visage. So, arriving, there are two brothers in Iceland. Their names is Gudmundsson. I think we have heard the name already before. The one is the storyteller. You will find him downstairs in the exhibition also, in the 7 league boots. And the other one is that kind of thinker, abstract thinker. It's Christian. And what they have in common is simply the family name, or the father's name, so to say. And they are both very good chess players. And the better one is this one. The best chess player in the artist community, it's Christian. So, what is this? There is the fjord. There is kind of a construction, rather large, of an object that we all know from the geometry. Heavy and big, and it invites you, to think about the nature. And about, of course, the measuring of nature. How is man dealing with a natural environment? And the proposal is here very abstract, but at the same time has a concrete reference to the protractors kind of tool. So we are now perhaps 3 days or 4 days on the way. It's slow art what we see, because the movement in this landscape is so slow that perhaps you have the two objects of Gediminas and of Christian in one day, and then you have to find a shelter, and the hotels are not like Neburg's or the wonderful apartment up here. No, it's really the Norwegian polar circle style for the backpackers. So Christian Gudmundsson, and now comes a longer talk about the capital of Nordland district. The capital, there is a capital, or at least administration capital, that is Bodø. Bodø is a hub where you have the boat to the Lofoten, where you are traveling on the way from north to south along the Kustenriksveien. And what we see over here in the back, this kind of construction, this is a breakwater to protect the boats in the harbor. And invited was Tony Cragg to deal with. He found this place. He liked it. It is not disturbed by nothing. Simply looks a little bit like this. So the breakwater and the marina behind, and the beautiful buildings of Bodø in the back. So now, actually, as we talked about Jeppahain, now the Bodø inhabitants became so nervous about these pieces. I'll show you one. What is it? What did he put there? Rocks with holes drilled, and you see, this is one of them. And there is another one. It's 7 rocks placed on this kind of the breakwater installation. And the Bodø people, you see the comment on there. It's a common saying about this work of art, like you read down here. It is not worth. We have such a nice town. What you can see over here, the nice town. Here, the nice town. And then comes this artist, even a foreigner. Tony Cragg, never heard before, and he gets a hell of a money to put this stones there. So the idea about the harbor and the town is a romantic one. I mean, it turns back perhaps to this kind of border. Huh? So that is the border in the 1800. And you see the breakwater here already in the 30s, still like this. And there is a future thinking in the town. That is remarkable. And this is the nice harbor. Wow. So we have the big boat taking passengers along the Norwegian coast to the north and to the south. And you have the romantic idea about the Vikings or whatsoever kind of boats appearing. But the rest of the city is, really like the huge airport. It's so big, you cannot imagine. So, this is the runway of a big, even international airport. This little thing here is the breakwater with the stones of Tony Cragg. This is the little harbor, and this is the vision of future border. So, what comment or what shall we answer the people who say this? Don't we have enough of the noise from the airplanes? The lack of project even is an insult to an insult. So imagine they become insulted by pieces which are perhaps have nothing to do with a saying like "you idiots" or something, or a genius calling them idiots. Nothing, So what is necessary is to stand up and make discussion and bring people to calm down the whole situation. But this is what not happens in the Artscape Nordland. It is an office in Bodø that is dealing with the entire project, but they are, not courageous or too lazy or too careless to take up with this issue and deal with the population. That must be a part of public art projects, to really get the people where they have difficulties. It's not an insult to the Tony Cragg. They are simply scared by something that they cannot read. You must explain them how to read, and there is one possibility to read these objects. What Tony Cragg what he is offering you is simply to think about Bodø is a town in a great landscape which has been touched by human work, making a harbor, even making the big airport. And what you see here is this kind of work is like a drilling into the stone. That is one way to deal with it. And the other way is, of course, a joyful one, to have a view through the holes. So everything you can explain, and the better you explain, the more they like you. And after all, it's such a relief for these people that I have realized, like in the town with the Valtasio Caldas, there is even an applause after all. So I like to talk to these people and run around in Norway. Yeah, so now we make the quick trip to the Lofoten. Okay, what is it? So now we take the boat to this little island. This is a piece by Luciano Fabro, and actually it is made of Carrara marble, and you see it's called the Nest. And what you see here is a kind of the steep rocks on the Lofoten is the home of the birds. And the most famous bird is the puffin. And the puffin puts his eggs in the holes, and when you take an egg, they have only 1 or 2 eggs, the puffin returns and makes a new egg. That is a good way to preserve the population of the puffins, and it's tasteful. Puffin breast I recommend to everybody who is not a vegetarian. So next piece is Cristina Iglesias. Oh, this cave that you see over here. Caves are always enormously interesting. For Gutmann's cave, for example, here in Latvia. Travel there, you have the nice story of the Rose of Sigulda, but this cave is called the Devil's Churn among the people. And Christina, she just marked the entrance with a kind of aluminum plates, and on the plates you have this kind of a pattern of laurel leaves. So that is the Moskenes piece. Next one. You see, I'm quick if you only ask. That is Dan Graham's untitled work. That was damaged last time I was there, but repaired very quickly because it's such a wonderful mirror in the landscape, and you see how it mirrors in a strange way the mountains on the other side, and even a visitor is, oh, that's me. Okay, so that is the Dan Graham work, and now comes another artist who is in the exhibition down there. It's the brother of Christian Guðmundsson. That is Sigurdur. Ocean's Eye. It is his typical archetypical constructions, like a house, and the boat, and the eye, and the glossy kind of black granite thing. And next is this is a sculpture by Swiss artist Markus Retz. It's a cylinder kind of column, basement, and on top is a stone piece, and from which side ever you look at it, it's either upside down or it is like a face standing in front of the water. So when you turn around, it goes from here to there. It's the one piece. And then comes Turkish artist Sarkis. Days and Nights, that is very important in the north of Norway. You have a long time in a period in the summer when you have only days, and then comes the nights. So I was there on a rainy day, but it was very interesting to be with these strange houses with the holes solid inside, and the visibility of the interior almost not given, or not really not given.
Impossible to enter?
It's impossible to enter, not even to have a view. It's no holes going all the way through. So it's a private place. And Anish Kapoor, also dealing with a shiny surface, if polished, of a granite stone. So this view here is this view on the sea. And next comes, this is Björn Nørgaard again. He made a house which looks like a construction from the Viking times, and it is on a little hill by the fjord, and in the interior it's polished. You see that? And in the polished interior you have these typical figures of his which are more or less also the kind of like drawings on the rocks, that is how you could call it. Björn Nørgaard. So now we have almost reached the end of our trip, but anyway, my title was that was the stone house. Sometimes you return, even on the one day. Then you return because you have missed something, and what we have missed is a work by an artist who is also in the exhibition downstairs. Helena, our beloved Raphael Reinsberg. Raphael. He discovered he is always for the extreme. So he discovered there is this little museum called the Polar Museum. Why? Because the polar expeditions of the Norwegians to the North Pole, Amundsen. They started here and they made an exhibition. They made a little museum in the local. And he discovered there was a garage and it was empty. And he said, "This will become my museum." And he made the people build shelves, and then he started collecting on the island, collecting pieces that he found on the beach, And on the day of the opening, there was the cultural kind of head of the cultural office from Bodø coming, and he was there, and the fire department with a brass band in the middle of the winter. It was 5 below zero, and they were cutting the opening. And then entered the people. There were 3 fishermen in a big discussion all the time. And I said to the lady from Bodø, I said, what are they discussing? They were pointing on this and on that. And she said, yes, they are talking about such objects like this, and that they know where it comes from. And that was in the end of World War II. And so it was a big thing to realize there was somebody to take the memory of the old times. It was Raphael. And then the last sentence of one of the fishermen was, if it only was not art. Then we would accept, But it was called art, and that was very, 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 very difficult for the people. So first of all, when you walk such places, take the people the fear from art. Tell them it is not poisonous, just take it easy. So this is heaven on earth. One of my of the beginning of the title of my presentation, Ingemann from Berlin. What did she do? She put this gate, and then a system engraved in the rock. Maybe you see it better over here. It's a kind of a definition of the space in the universe, kind of, because it is giving you a further view from the fjord, from the north of Norway, even to the sky. And now, now we reach Narvik. That is perhaps the bloodiest town in the whole northern Norway. Why? Because it was a navy base in World War II. It was completely bombed down to the ruins by German forces and by British bombers and everything. So Norbert Weber was supposed to make a work, and he said, I want to do something which is like a healing. So even he is kind of an abstract worker, and he doesn't give it a title. He made 2 pieces. This one that takes the water from this little creek, and it's coming down on the stone, makes it dark. And at the end of the river, where the fjord is, he put this kind of a gate. But that is not the piece. And the people in Norvik, they only say, what does it mean, to put this piece here and this piece there? It means Norbert Breivik made more. Because what he made a kind of a project of renaturalization of the river, because in the middle between these is a kind of a sewage to take the water of the city and clean it. And nobody cares about who else is dealing with this valley. He did. So who is dealing with the valley? It is actually the salmon who likes to climb to put his eggs there in the upper. So he made a kind of, they call it salmon ladder, so where they can jump all the way up to do their breeding of the next generation. So that was. I'm exhausted now. It was really too fast, but as you see, I managed. And at the very end now, I show you one piece of public art which is not known or not advertised as public art, and still it is so beautiful, and it is still working so nicely for me. Every morning when I go to the window of my home and my office, I can see in different weather conditions this piece by Carsten Höller, which was, the blue sign, and I avoided, to call it art. And sometimes there is guided tours from the so-called Stadtführer, city guides, and they stand there, and sometimes they say something like, I think this is supposed to be art. And then I opened my window and said, yes, it is by Karsten Höller. Don't be worried. I explained to you, as I did once with the mayor of our town, Klaus Buss, when it was standing there after 1 year still, even was only allowed for 1 year, not permanently. He passed by and he said, for me, this is not art. And I said, Klaus, stay still. Your wife is there. Let us have a look again. When you look at this blue sign and you think about the beautiful aquarelles of the sea and the sky, every artist who does aquarelle of the horizon makes a blue sky and a blue water. Look what Karsten is doing. Maybe it's for reflecting upon that kind of thing. Anyway, and I was talking only 15 minutes. And then the wife of Klaus said, ich finde das schön. So ever since it's there and no discussion anymore, and even it needed some treatment and maintenance. There came a storm and it tipped over and we had to re-erect. But it's simply a highway kind of blue. There's this traffic sign with nothing on it. Once in a while there appears some images from Playboy put on top, or something, nice comments, of the people. And the best experience was when it stood there, in the very beginning, there came an old fisherman, and he walked along the beach. He came from the south, went up to the north where the harbor is, and then he was standing there like this. I think perhaps 5 minutes. I was watching them. And then he went to his job in Milan. So he took something out of it, whatever it was. But I mean, that is possible only if you don't say it's art, So that is the end of my talk, and thank you very much for your attention.